This is factoring using greatest common factor. This should help you with your homework. So GCF is a number or numbers, a variable each term have in common. So we'll start with the first example, GCF of 10 and, what is this? My GCF is 10 and GCF of 10 and 6. So we're finding the greatest common factor. You guys did this before, hopefully. We find the factors of 10, which is 2 and 5. What multiplies to 60? It's 10 and 6. What multiplies to 10? 2 and 5. 2 and 3 for 6. So we break them down to their smallest factors. It's called prime factorization. This is also called the factor tree. And what pairs do they have in common? They have 2 in common and they have 5 in common. So my GCF is 2 times 5 equals 10. So my GCF is 10. Let's try this one. GCF of 3x squared and 5x to the 5th. So that's 3 times 2x's. This is, or 1 times 3. This is 5. 1 times 5. 5x's, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now what pairs do they have in common? They have 1. They have 2x's in common. So that means my GCF is 1 times x times x. So we have this one pair becomes only 1. We have another pair here. So it becomes just 1. 2x's. So 1 times x equals x squared. So that's my GCF. And let's try this one. Let's combine it all together. Now we have a subtraction in it. So let's factor this. This is 2. 1 times 2. Then times x times x times x. This is 2 times 3 times x. Now what do they have in common? They have 2. And they have 1 x in common. So my GCF is 2 times x, which is 2x. Okay, but now we have a minus sign or a sign in the middle and parentheses. So whatever this my GCF is, I'm going to take it out. I'm going to take it out here, 2x, and whatever is left over on my factor stays inside. So my 2x's will be here. X times x is x squared. We have 3, and we keep the sign minus. So this is my factored form of 2x cubed minus 6x. Okay, now let's do an example. This is number 5 in your homework. So let's look here. 28a minus 28. Okay, what's my common factor? My common factor is 28. And what's left over on the inside is a minus 1. To check your work, all you have to do is 28 times a is 28a. 28 times negative 1 is negative 28. Okay, all I did was take out the 28 on the outside. So this is the inverse of distribution. And then how about for the second one? What do these two terms have in common? They both have 35 in common, and they both have 1A in common. So I'm going to take 1A out, and what's left behind is one more A because there's two A's there, and minus 1. So you distribute this here, you get 35A squared. You distribute this to this one, you get negative 35A. Okay, and then division, change into multiplication, and we flip the second one. So A minus 7 stays on top. Okay, now what do these two have in common? We know that 49 is 7 times 7. So that means they both have 7 in common. And they also, we know that A squared is A times A. So they both have 7 in common, and they both have A in common. Okay, so I'm going to take that out. 7A, and what's left over is A. Left over is A, and what's left over here is 7, minus 7. Okay, we keep the sign here. And now we can cancel out common factors in the numerator and denominator. We have A minus 1 the same, A minus 7 the same. So we end up with 28 over 35, A times 7A. Okay, I'm not done because 28 is 7 times 4 over 35A times 7A. And now they both have 7 in common. So my answer will be 4 over 35A. And lastly, we need to look for our restriction. Our restrictions will include everything with A in it. So if it's in a parenthesis with A, if it's next to an A, and this right here. So let's start with 35A equals 0. So if I would divide 35, and so my answer would be A not equal to 0. And the next one is A minus 1 equals 0. So in this case, A does not equal 1. Now we have 7A equals 0. Divide 7. Comes a 1. Comes A not equal to 0. And we have A minus 7 equals 0. So A does not equal to 7. Okay, so these are all my restrictions. If you have any questions, please let me know.